Welcome to a special edition of the Drink of Wisdom with Nathan Drinkard. I'm Jay Wise. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. We're on Anchor, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on so many of those great podcasting platforms. We're also going live at the Drink of Wisdom YouTube channel. As we said, this is a special edition of the show. We're going to get into Game 5 of the NBA Finals. That's it, a one-topic show. And with that being said, great to have you with us, Drink.
Hey man, great to be here, man. How you doing today?
Um, been waiting to get into this Game 5 all day long. I was ready to get into it yesterday.
Listen. I'm gonna tell it to you like this. I don't know what's more special, this episode or Giannis' performance in the finals. But look, we're gonna get into it. Y'all know what time it is. We see what they don't. We're gonna say what they won't. And last but not least, let's talk some sports, baby. The special edition. Let's
You know
roll.
about it, and we're getting into that NBA Game 5. It took place Saturday night with the Milwaukee Bucks taking a 3-2 series lead with a 123-119 victory, a seesaw battle. The Suns got off to a roaring start in the first quarter. They were out 37-21 at the end of one. And then Milwaukee proceeded to outscore the Suns 79-53 over the second and third quarters. They led by double digits for much of the third and much of the fourth quarter. In fact, they led by 10 points, courtesy of a Chris Middleton three-point play, put them up 117-107. The Suns would respond with it's like a 12-3 run here, and the Suns had a chance to go for the lead, win with about 17 seconds left. Devin Booker was stripped by Drew Holiday, and Holiday went down the other side of the court, found Giannis for a alley-oop dunk, and that was about the explanation point of the game. Drink a wild series, to say the least, and a great, entertaining Game 5 with the Bucks coming out on top. They get Game 6 in Milwaukee tomorrow night. What are your thoughts on Game 5, and how do you see the series as we move forward?
Well, my thoughts on Game 5. Listen, here's the deal. Like I said in the show at one point, I think the Bucks then figure some things out with the Suns. Whether it be we just gonna put Giannis and Middleton in the pick and roll and see if they can stop it. Whether it is Brook Lopez, you're gonna get less minutes. Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis, you're gonna get more minutes. It's a lot of things. PJ Tucker, he's not playing a lot of minutes, but when he do play, listen, at least he got 6 fouls to give you. With that said, it seems like the Bucks can figure out things. Well, when I look at the Suns are starting to be a little flat. I don't know if I like this. I'm gonna take over the game way they're playing with Devin Booker right now. For me, Devin Booker don't impact the game enough outside of scoring for him to be the guy. You really need Chris Paul to kind of be the guy to take over. I got it. Devin Booker is the young guy. He's the up and comer. He's the Kobe-esque player in this series. But with that said, he just don't bring enough for me anywhere else. I'm talking passing, I'm talking rebound, I'm talking defense, he just shoots the ball, and he shoots the ball very well. Not knocking it, but I'm not seeing where this is translating into winning. I'm just not. And the reason I say that is, as I look at that, I look at Booker. He's playing next level, but he's not getting other people involved. Aiden numbers go down when Booker play like this. Chris Paul, I don't even know what he got going on right now. You said this before the show. The likes of like Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder and the guys they got out there to shoot the ball, Cam Johnson, like they kind of come up a little like mystery, a little back on a milk carton because the way Devin Booker plays, and I'm not trying to put everything on Devin Booker, but this is just what I done seen. All the praise I done seen, Devin Booker, oh my God, this dude is a killer. Oh, he's out here playing like Kobe. Does it matter if you're taking 2 L's, 3 L's in a row? Matter of fact, let's keep this in mind. The Bucks done won 3 games in a row in this series. Tomorrow night can be 4. For all the naysayers that knocked on wood and said, the Bucks can't beat the Suns 4 games in a row, they 1 game away from proving that. I said this back at the end of game 1. Even though the Suns won game 2, it was just something about how Giannis looked at the end of game 1 that told me this dude is going to do his thing. I don't know how, because I still wasn't confident with the free throw shooting, still wasn't confident with the three-point shooting, still wasn't comfortable with the mid-range, but I said this guy's going to make an impact. And you made a good point when we started talking about this series where you talked about Giannis making an impact on both sides of the ball. It's like what are his best plays in this series gonna be? That block. That's on the defense side of the ball. I don't think the alley oop to win game 5 is gonna be forgotten as fast either. But once again, that's on Devin Booker. It's just, I'm sorry, I outside of scoring, somebody got to show me how Devin Booker impacts the game in a positive way. Outside of scoring the basketball, we seen this in game 3. We seen this in game 3 when he scored the 10 points and then he got pulled out of the game. I think part of the reason he got pulled out of the game was because what else can Devin Booker give you outside of scoring? If he's not putting the ball in the basket, what else is he doing? And I think we're starting to see that now. So as far as game 5 go, listen, I think the writing was on the wall. The Bucks their 2-man game is too lethal to stop. They're more experienced. They've been doing this under the brighter lights longer. We're starting to see when you get eliminated in the first round one year, then the second round next year, and then the third round. Now you made it to the final round. This is what you get built up to do. I think the Bucks at this point they're like mentally better for this. They're built for this. Not to say the Suns can't win game 6, but I do think the Suns will win game 6. But I just think the Bucks are more built for this. I think the Suns have to get Devin Booker, their best player, right? Best player. I think Chris Paul is the most important player. I think Chris Paul is the most experienced player. I think Chris Paul is the leader of the team. But let's keep it real here. Booker is the all-around best player. As offensively, if you want to go defensively, yes, I would go with Aiden. I think Aiden is the better defensive player for this team. But the problem is, all that is for naught if Chris Paul ain't doing what he done. Since game 1 of this series, Chris Paul ain't really been Chris Paul. I mean, let's keep it a stack here. Let's keep it a whole buck. Chris Paul ain't looked like Chris Paul since game 1. Yeah, they won game 2, but it wasn't because like Chris Paul was out here just looking like a world beater. I don't know where Chris Paul done went, but he might want to come back. Clean up on all 6. We need you in game 6, and that's what Chris Paul needs to show up. So with that said, that's what I got for game 5. Game 6, here's how I depict game 6. This is why I take Phoenix. I know the game is in Milwaukee. That's cool. I do think we're going to get a more engaged Chris Paul. Chris Paul knows. Like, he's been around this league. He knows. When it's time, it's time. Chris Paul going to show up. I think somehow Monty Williams, Chris Paul, they somehow find a way to utilize Booker when he can be more than just a scorer. Can he be somewhat of a playmaker? His defense has been better, so I don't want to knock it, but we need a little more from him. And then you got to keep the ball in Chris Paul's hands. This is what I realize about Aiden. The more shots that Booker take, that means the less time that the ball is in Chris Paul's hand. DeAndre Ayton is not as effective on the offense side of the ball without Chris Paul running that offense. I'm sorry, Devin Booker can't get the ball to DeAndre Ayton like Chris Paul can. Yeah, I'm sorry. Bridges, the dude only gets so many shots a game. He's probably going to shoot it. Jay Crowder. Chris Paul is your only playmaker. That's what I'm saying. When Cam Payne come in, he's somewhat of a playmaker, but not to the level of Chris Paul. He has his pros and cons. They have to find a way to get, if Chris Paul not going to be in the game, I think Cam Payne has to be in the game. You need a playmaker. I don't want to see no more of this, hey, Booker, bring the ball up, run the offense. Because 90% of the time it turns into a shot. And I'm not, you're not going to win a championship like that. You're not going to win. You're not going to win a championship. I know what Kobe did, Kobe also had Shaq. Kobe had if I went down the list of guys that Kobe had to take that pressure off of him where he didn't have to take every single shot, you'll be like, dang, I forgot about him, and him. So, with that said, I do think Monty Williams found a way to get Chris Paul more engaged, make Devin Booker more of a playmaker, which puts DeAndre Ayton in more favorable positions if he don't fall himself out. And then you have the likes of Mikal Bridges Jay Crowder. I think those guys can get you points if you allow them to get you points. I think the worst thing that happened to Phoenix was Devin Booker getting so hot because he don't look for other guys. I'm sorry, I watched it. He don't look for his teammates that much. He is gonna shoot the ball, and the downfall is if you got 3-point shooters at the corner, they're just gonna be at the corner. They're just gonna sit there. Your offense gonna get stale, and I think Milwaukee understands that. If you want to be honest here, what I think Milwaukee is doing now is if Devin Booker get the ball, let him shoot. Let him shoot. Let him take the rest of his teammates out of the game, because that's what I'm seeing. Let him take them out of the game. So with that said, I do still think Phoenix will figure a way out. I just don't want to overtalk this. I want you to get on here, drop your gems, do your thing. I'm taking Phoenix in Game 6. We got Game 7, and then I'll take Milwaukee in Game 7.
I think this is Milwaukee's. It's definitely their series to lose, and I think the series will be over tomorrow night. I think Milwaukee, what we've seen, in the past, 3 years, is we've seen, Milwaukee go through the process of what it takes to become a champion. That's what I believe we've seen. And I've been, ever since Brooklyn started getting, all the injuries started piling up, whether it was James Harden and it was Kyrie. Right then I was like, I think this is the break they need. And then of course they caught a little bit of a break with, what happened. Philly kind of falling out against Atlanta. Atlanta gave him a great series. Giannis was a little bit hobbled, but teammates helped him out. You saw Chris Middleton come up big. You saw Drew Holiday play great at times. And I think just the way they built this team with the mid-season acquisition of a PJ Tucker, with Bobby Portis coming over the offseason, all of these guys fit together, have created a cohesive unit. I think Mike Budenholzer's learned a lot. He's been through the trials and tribulations now, not only in Milwaukee but in Atlanta as well. I think it's just time for these guys. And Phoenix, to me, I've always felt Phoenix was a little bit fool's gold. And I think, even though they had, they jumped out to a 2-0 series lead. They outplayed Milwaukee in games 1 and 2, but Milwaukee got back on their home floor and they got comfortable. They ran them at the gym in Game 3. Game 4, they got that big defensive play that was kind of the key late, with Giannis getting that great alley-oop block. And that kind of carried them through in that game. And then, Game 5, it was just after that first quarter, I thought Milwaukee was in big trouble, because Phoenix was, shooting at like 75% clip in the first quarter. I mean, we got Torrey Craig knocking down threes. It's going to look like it's going to be a long night. And then the second quarter rolls around and all of a sudden they just get going. They answer, which is, I think there's been times where we look at Milwaukee and I've looked at them and said they don't look capable of answering at times. They just, the Miami Heat series from last season comes to mind in the Eastern Conference semis. But I just, you look at Giannis, what he's been through, still struggling at the free throw line. But one thing, the one thing you always got to remember is he's never going to quit. He's almost got, the similar type tenacity and ferociousness that Russell Westbrook plays with, possession after possession. Chris Middleton, I mean, what can we say? This guy's an Olympian. They're gonna be glad to have him, once this is over. And this is a guy who is, putting his stamp on this series and in this postseason. Just the shot making has been incredible, leading you to understand how Giannis can be perhaps the best player in basketball, but Chris Middleton, similar to Shaq and Kobe, Chris Middleton can get you there late in games and close the deal for you from the perimeter. And this guy, Drew Holiday, he's kind of, to me, been the X factor. And when you look at what he did in Game 5, I'm looking at Giannis 14 for 23, Middleton 12 for 23, and Holiday 12 for 20. And when Holiday's out here shooting threes at the clip he did in Games 3 and 5, it's just Milwaukee. I don't think you can beat them when these three guys are clicking to this efficiency. And I think that's probably the best game for Milwaukee where I've seen all three of those guys just humming offensively. they were fantastic. And then, but then you look towards the end of the game, and it was a big play on the defensive end in games 4 and 5 that kind of really ended up being the storyline both games. Phoenix, they was making a big run late, and it looked a little bleak. Devin Booker going to get to his spot, do his mid-range thing. PJ Tucker stays in front. He turns right into Drew Holiday, gets the strip, and what a sequence, because I was thinking, oh, are you going to pull it out and just take the foul? And he sees Giannis streaking down the court and just throws it up to him. And we got it and one, and then Phoenix unable to, get the defensive rebound. Now you got Middleton at the free throw line. Just a really, really entertaining series. The 2-0 aspect of it is always interesting. And when I was watching Game 5, I was like, man, this has a little bit of feeling to the Mavericks and Heat back in 2006 when Dwayne Wade led that great comeback. I think that series was more about Dwayne Wade. I don't think Giannis has had a quite greatest performance, and especially in Game 3 of 06, if you remember. The Heat were down double digits, about halfway in that fourth quarter before Dwayne Wade took over the game. And then it turned from there. Hasn't been quite the same thing, but still the last time a team overcame a 2-0 deficit in the finals was in 06. It had me thinking about it. And I'm just, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying Phoenix can't overcome this, but it's gonna be tough because Milwaukee has clearly figured some things out. They look really comfortable. They look a lot more comfortable offensively. They're getting contributions from everybody. I mean, I know PJ Tucker ain't lighting up the box score, but he's bringing it, and he's using every one of them fouls, and he's making things difficult on whether it's Devin Booker or whoever he's going to guard. And the one thing that can be not undersold is these bench guys for Milwaukee. Mike Budenholzer has shortened this bench. Bryn Forbes is out of here, and I think that's rightfully so. His minutes need to be cut if he's not going to make threes. You got to sprinkle in just a little bit of Jeff Teague, but it's been Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton. And I think in some ways, Pat Connaughton is the greatest microcosm of this team, because when Pat Connaughton, he's out here making these big time threes. When they go down, I was telling a buddy of mine, I was like, listen, Pat Connaughton of 2 years ago would not have made these shots. And when Pat Connaughton's making these shots off the bench, I think that's how Milwaukee has arrived.
And I would say this, for me, for Pat Connaughton, it ain't just the threes, it's the rebounding. For a guard, this dude gotta be the leading rebounder in this series from the guard position. Like, get these rebounds.
It was one offensive rebound he had that was like, it looked like the most athletic thing you could ever see. Like, and you're right. It's not only his shot making, but he does a lot of the little things, as does Bobby Portis. Those guys are perfect complements to what they have in the starting lineup. It's all clicking. I think I really don't see Phoenix in Game 5. I was talking about Monty Williams' turn to make adjustments, and I thought Phoenix offensively, they shot the ball extremely well. Over 55%. They made 13 of 19 3-point shots. So their offense was fine, but once Milwaukee got going in the second quarter, it was an avalanche of just basketball brilliance. And I really think Drew Holiday has gotten the better of DeAndre Ayton in a couple of these games. I know Holiday had a really tough game in Game 4. He was only 4 for 20, but even in that Game 4, he was playing with the right energy, the right mindset. He was attacking the basket. And I think he's been the X factor to me all along. And not only the Pat Connaughtons and the growth of Chris Middleton and Giannis and Budenholzer and everybody, but Drew Holiday, when you look at him and Eric Bledsoe, it's no contest. Drew Holiday, big time basketball player, another guy going to the Olympics, and that was a great trade made by the Milwaukee Bucks to get Drew Holiday.
So I got a question for you. If the series does end tomorrow, your Finals MVP is?
It's Giannis. I think it's Giannis. I know Middleton's had some big games. I think Holiday's had some big games too, but I think just the consistency, what he does, both sides of the court, as I've said, throughout. I think Middleton, however they vote on it or whatever, I think Middleton deserves some votes, particularly if he has a big game tomorrow night. But I think Giannis, especially after, game one where he kind of, worked his way into that game and then had a nice little finish. And you just felt good about how Giannis looked physically coming off the hyperextended knee. But I think he's been the best player in the series, even though, it has not just been about Giannis. There have been Middleton and Holiday they don't win this series without either one of those guys. But I do think it'd be Giannis. What about you?
No, I agree for all the reasons. Same here. I was just curious what your answer was.
Okay, well, in that case, I believe we're going to leave it there, and we will be back Thursday night with a full episode of A Drink of Wisdom. In the meantime, thanks for joining us. Like, listen, share, subscribe, and I'm Jay Watts.
And I'm Nathan Drinker, and remember, make tomorrow better than today, and make today better than yesterday. And on a special edition of A Drink of Wisdom, you know what we going to do. We going to holler at you until next time, baby.